Her name is Ivy. Reserved. Strikingly beautiful in a way that's quiet and unforgettable. The guard leans forward in his booth, puzzled. You sure this is where you're supposed to work? He asks, eyeing the mansion beyond. This ain't no ordinary house. I'm sure, Ivy replies softly, offering a small, nervous smile. The agency sent me. The gate groans open behind her like an old beast waking. She steps through it, and it slams shut with a sound that echoes down the long stone driveway. Ivy walks past rose bushes trimmed into perfect silence, past statues with hollow eyes, and up the marble steps of a place that seems to hold its breath. Inside, the mansion is vast, gleaming, and cold. A house of glass and shadow. The butler nods wordlessly, and Ivy is led through the hall like a ghost. At the top of the staircase, Alexander Wolfe descends. 32. Billionaire. Cold-eyed and immaculately dressed. His presence could silence storms. You're the new girl? He asks, his voice clipped. Yes, sir, Ivy answers, not meeting his eyes. Ivy. You're late. I walked. The buses. I don't like excuses. He looks at her, long and sharp. Clean. Don't touch anything that looks personal. And stay out of the West Wing. With that, he's gone. Ivy breathes in. The house swallows the sound. In the library, she begins to dust. The air smells like money and memories. As she moves her cloth across the spines of leather-bound books, one tilts forward. Curious, she nudges it, and a letter slips out and flutters to the floor. Yellowed. Fragile. Sealed in wax. Stamped. 4 rows only. Her hand trembles. She reads the name again. Rose. Her mother's name. She glances around. No one. She slides the letter into her apron. That night in the kitchen, the staff speaks in hushed tones. The head maid leans over with a knowing look. Keep your head down, she whispers. Don't get curious. Wolfe, he's not just rich. He's dangerous. The last girl who asked too many questions left without her name. Ivy says nothing. She's not here to make friends. She's here for something else. Something she didn't even know she was searching for until now. In the study, Alexander pours whiskey alone. Outside, the storm begins. He watches the rain through the glass. Behind him, Ivy's reflection flickers in the window as she cleans. She doesn't notice him watching her. You walk quietly, he says suddenly. Maybe the house is just too loud, she replies without looking. He stares at her longer than he should. Something stirs like a match catching flame in a room long soaked in water. The next morning, in the garden, Ivy sketches a rose during her break. Alexander appears behind her. You draw. Just things I remember. My mother had roses like these before we left. What was her name? She hesitates. Rose Halden. He freezes. His eyes dart across her face, trying to match it with a memory he's kept buried. Later that night, Alexander rifles through a locked drawer in his study. He pulls out an old photo, crumpled and nearly forgotten. His mother, smiling, arm around a woman with soft eyes rose. And between them, a toddler with Ivy's eyes. He sets the photo down and stares at it like it's a ghost. The next morning, Ivy serves breakfast. Alexander watches her more gently now. She pours his coffee in silence. You always this quiet? He asks. Loud people never listened to me. So I stopped trying. Maybe they didn't deserve your voice. He doesn't look up. She does. A beat passes. That night, Ivy sits in her tiny servant room, candle flickering. She opens the letter. It's from Alexander's mother to her own. Rose, it begins, what my husband did to you. It can never be forgiven. I've sent you away with enough to start over. Don't come back. Don't ever tell him about the child. For your safety. For hers. Burn this letter when you read it. Tears fall silently down Ivy's cheek. The next day, she places the letter in front of Alexander at his desk. He doesn't speak for a long time as he reads. His jaw clenches. His hands shake. I was a child, he says at last. I never knew. I just knew the house felt colder after she left. I never knew why. She was protecting me, Ivy says. From him. From this house. Alexander rises. His voice softer now. And now you're back. In the house that was supposed to be yours too. Ivy turns away. It's still not mine. I'm just a maid. No, he steps closer. You're more than that. You always were. He reaches for her hand. She lets him. Outside, in the rose garden, they stand as the sun sets. The wind stirs the petals. Ivy clutches a match in her hand. She lights the letter. Together, they watch it burn to ash. No more secrets, Alexander says. No more silence, Ivy replies. They kiss. Not like a billionaire and a maid. Like two souls finally standing where they belong. Later, Ivy descends the mansion staircase, dressed in pale blue. The staff watches in hushed awe. The whispers begin. She's not the maid anymore. She's the woman who tamed the wolf. In the garden, roses bloom brighter than ever. The house no longer feels haunted. It breathes. Ivy walks beside Alexander, their hands interlocked, their pasts forgiven in the fire. The mansion, once silent, now echoes with the sound of something it hasn't held in years. Love. Ivy is frozen. I promised you he'd never find out. If the truth comes out, it will ruin everything. Burn this. Her breath shortens. She folds it quietly and slides it into the lining of her apron just as a floorboard creaks behind her. She spins. Nothing. Just the heavy silence of old books and older ghosts. Her heart pounds. She backs out of the library, her fingers tight around the letter. Later that night, in the dim flicker of a candle, Ivy sits on the edge of her narrow bed. Her hands are still. Her face pale. She reads the letter again, slower now, the words clawing at her heart. You were brave to leave him. No one ever left Victor Wolfe. Not even me. But your daughter, she deserves better. She deserves to grow up far from this mansion. Far from him, far from this legacy of control and coldness. Ivy looks into the cracked mirror on the wall. Her reflection stares back, wide-eyed and hollow. Victor Wolfe, she whispers. His father. Her hand moves to the necklace around her neck, a small silver rose. The only thing her mother left her. The next morning, Alexander is seated alone at the long dining table, reading the paper. Ivy quietly serves breakfast, her steps practiced, but her hands slightly unsteady. He pours his coffee. For the first time, his gaze lingers. You look tired, he says, not looking up. She freezes mid-pour. Couldn't sleep, she replies softly. Bad dreams, he asks. She swallows hard. Something like that. Their eyes meet, unexpectedly tender. Ivy quickly retreats before it lingers too long. Ignoring the warnings echoing in her head, Ivy finds herself walking down the West Wing hallway later that day. Dust coats every surface. Paintings are covered in sheets. Time feels frozen here. They end a door. But just beside it, on an old wooden shelf, a key. Lone. Waiting. Almost like it was left for her. She hesitates, staring at it, then reaches out and takes it. The door creaks open. Air heavy with age and secrets meets her. Ivy steps into the locked room. Piano sleeps under dust. A shattered vase lies in the corner. On the far wall, a portrait. A woman in white. Soft eyes. Familiar. Ivy walks closer. Her knees weaken. It's her mother. On the piano, a stack of letters bound by ribbon. One slides loose. Another letter, written in the same hand. He must never know Ivy is his half-sister. If Victor finds out, he'll come after her. I had to send Rose away. I had to lie to Alexander. He still thinks his father died a hero. He doesn't know the truth. About the abuse. About the threats. About the child. Ivy stumbles backward. The letter falls from her trembling fingers. Half-sister. Her lips part in silent horror. Her whole world tilts. Elsewhere in the mansion, Alexander paces the study with a glass of whiskey. Restless. Haunted by something he can't name. He opens a drawer inside, an old photograph. His mother. Another woman beside her, holding a baby. Ivy. He doesn't know why he kept it. He doesn't know why he's drawn to her in ways that feel dangerous and necessary. Outside, the garden glows under the fading evening sun. Ivy stands still, letting the wind move her hair. Alexander appears silently behind her. "You go quiet," he says. She doesn't turn. "I think better in quiet," she replies. He steps closer. "My mother used to come here," he says. "To this exact spot. Said it was the only place in the house that felt alive." Ivy closes her eyes. Her voice small. "She came here with my mother." Alexander's expression shifts. "Rose," he says. Ivy nods slowly. "Rose was my mother." He steps back slightly. "Ivy, why didn't you say anything?" Her voice trembles. "I didn't know. Not until I found her letters. She left everything to protect me. From your father. From this place." Alexander's eyes blur. His voice cracks. "He wasn't a good man, was he?" Ivy shakes her head. "No. And your mother, she knew. She saved us both." Their hands find each other in the fading light. Not out of habit but instinct. Later that night in the rose garden, Ivy kneels beside a small fire. One last letter flickers in her fingers before she drops it into the flames. The paper curls, blackens, and disappears. She whispers, "No more lies." Alexander stands behind her, watching the flame. "No more fear." She turns to face him, tears glistening. For a moment neither moves. Then, slowly, as the firelight flickers across their faces, they kiss. It's not out of pain or guilt but something deeper. Shared truth. Buried love unchained. Days pass. The house shifts with them. Ivy descends the staircase in a soft blue dress, no longer the maid's uniform. The staff pause to watch her. Whispers stir in the hall. Alexander waits below. His eyes soft and open. He offers his hand. Ivy takes it steady and sure. The mansion that once stood cold now breathes. Roses bloom across its hedges. Curtains sway open. The rusted gates now wide. Ivy and Alexander walk its halls together, not as master and maid. Not as strangers divided by secrets. But as survivors. As lovers. As the family their parents tried to destroy, now built on truth, fire, and forgiveness. The sky fades to violet as Alexander steps onto the garden balcony. "You draw?" he asks gently. Startled, Ivy closes the notebook quickly. "Just memories," she replies, cheeks flushing. "My mother used to plant roses before she disappeared." Alexander's breath catches. Something clicks in his mind. "Your mother's name wasn't Rose, was it?" Her head lifts slowly. She doesn't answer. The look in her eyes confirms what her silence cannot hide. Alexander's expression darkens, as if the world just shifted under his feet. Later that night, the study is filled with the soft crackle of the fireplace. Alexander moves with purpose, opening drawer after drawer, until his fingers land on a worn photograph. His eyes fix on it, his mother, smiling gently, beside a woman with hauntingly familiar features, and a young girl with wide, curious eyes. "Ivy," he whispers. His voice is filled with disbelief. "No, this can't be." Elsewhere in the mansion, Ivy sits on the edge of her bed, holding the rose drawing in one hand, the necklace in the other. She stares out the window, knowing he knows. Alexander doesn't sleep. He roams the halls, memories crashing into him. The nights Ivy stayed longer to clean. The way she hesitated before speaking his name. The familiar way she touched the roses. It wasn't just attraction. It was recognition from something deeper, unspoken, buried in blood. By morning the house feels different. The air tighter. Ivy finds him in the greenhouse, surrounded by morning light. He doesn't turn when she enters. "I saw the photo," he says, voice low. She stands still. "My mother. And yours. They knew each other. Why didn't you tell me?" "I didn't know," Ivy replies. "Not until the letters. I was just a maid. Then I became a secret." And now I'm your... She stops herself. The words too impossible to say. Alexander turns to face her, pain etched into his face. You're not my sister. Breath. She was his child. You're not. My mother wrote it clearly. She never let him near you. She protected you from that man. But we share her, Ivy whispers. Your mother. She helped raise me. And I'm grateful she did. But we are not bound by blood. Only by what we choose to be now. Ivy's eyes brim with tears. And what are we? Alexander closes the distance between them. Two people who were lied to. Two people who've been alone too long. Their lips are close. Ivy trembles. You don't care, she whispers. I care more than I should, he murmurs. Their kiss is slow. Not like the first, filled with uncertainty and fire. This one is aching, deep, grounded in everything they've uncovered, everything they are. The days pass. The mansion begins to breathe differently. Staff move around them with more softness. Ivy no longer hides. She walks the halls like she belongs because she does. One evening, Alexander finds her back in the library. The same place this all began. She holds a final letter. She hands it to him. He reads. It's from his mother. If you're reading this, then the truth has found its way to light. Forgive me. I loved you both too much to let that house destroy you. He sets it down. Ivy looks at him. What now? He smiles faintly. We rebuild. Ivy stands near the counter, her hands gripping the edge. Alexander enters, soaked from the storm, eyes burning with questions he's no longer willing to silence. What are you really doing here? His voice is low, sharp. Ivy turns slowly, her eyes red from crying, her body tense like a wire pulled too tight. I didn't know until I saw the photo, she says. Your mother, she knew mine. She helped hide us after your father hurt her. Thunder growls. Alexander's fists clench. Flashbacks flicker through his mind, a younger version of himself hiding under the piano as his father's voice roared through the halls. A slammed door. A muffled cry. A broken wine glass on the floor. His mother's bruised wrist hidden beneath long sleeves. The staff whispering behind curtains. A house wrapped in fear. My father, he says, breath catching. He ruined so many lives. Ivy walks closer. He tried to ruin hers too. But your mother saved her. She got us out. Changed our names. I never knew who I really was until this place started to remember me. The lights flicker. The tension between them crackles louder than the storm outside. Alexander's voice is strained. Do you know what it's like to grow up thinking your father was a war hero? A man of honor? And then to find out he stops. His jaw tightens. He was a monster. I know exactly what that's like, Ivy says gently. Except I never had the illusion. Just the silence. They stand there, across from each other, the kitchen echoing with past ghosts. Ivy steps forward, braver now. I came here to work. To survive. But then I found the letters. The photo. The room he tried to erase. I wasn't trying to trick you, Alexander. I was just trying to remember who I am. He looks at her, torn open by truth. And who are you? I'm the daughter of the woman your mother risked everything to protect. I'm the girl who grew up hearing nightmares, and now I've found the house they came from. He walks closer, his voice low, broken. I don't know how to fix this. Any of it. We don't fix it, Ivy whispers. We grow past it. He reaches out hesitant, searching, and she lets him. Their hands touch, lightning behind them. The rain softens, like the sky is finally catching its breath. Somewhere in the silence, the old house groans not in protest, but release. They stay like that, not kissing, not speaking, just existing together in the eye of a storm that began long before either of them knew. Later that night, Alexander unlocks a safe buried behind a panel in his study. Inside, a journal. His mother's. Ivy reads it with him page by page, discovering the truth, the lies, and the love his mother had for them both. Hidden behind years of silence were confessions, maps of escape, names of people she paid to protect Ivy. I think she always wanted us to meet, Ivy says. No, Alexander replies. She wanted us to heal. Morning comes. The storm is gone. The house, once full of shadows, now feels lighter. Ivy walks the halls freely. Alexander watches her from the staircase, as if seeing her for the first time not as the maid, not as the girl from the photograph, but as the woman who held the broken truth and still stayed. In the garden, the roses bloom brighter than ever. Not in defiance, but in peace. And in the quiet between breaths, Ivy whispers to herself, "This house will not bury me. It will remember me." Alexander, standing beside her, answers gently, "And I'll remember you too. Always." Ivy stands by the bed, carefully folding the last of her clothes into a small worn suitcase. Her uniform is gone, replaced by a simple blouse, something that looks like freedom. Her fingers hesitate over the rose sketch she left on the nightstand. She picks it up, presses it to her chest. The door creaks open behind her. She doesn't turn. Alexander stands there, silent at first, taking in the sight of her packing. His throat tightens. "You're leaving," he says. Ivy nods. "I didn't come to hurt you," she says, voice barely above a whisper. I had to know who I was, what this place was. I found my answers. Now it's time I go." He steps closer, his face unreadable. "You came to clean my house," he says softly, "but instead, you cleaned my heart." She turns then, slowly, eyes wide with emotion. For a second, neither of them moves. Then they kiss. It's not perfect. It's not polished. It's raw, full of trembling lips and unspoken apologies. The kind of kiss that says, "I know what we've lost, but I still choose what we have." They break apart, breathless. "Ivy," he says, his hand brushing her cheek, "if you walk out now, I'll understand. But if there's even a part of you that thinks we're not finished, stay." Her eyes glisten. "I'm scared," she admits. "So am I," he says. "But I'd rather be scared with you than safe without you." She looks at him for a long moment, then closes her suitcase. Not to leave, but to put it away. Days pass. Ivy doesn't return to the maid's quarters. She moves into the guest room at first. Then slowly, without labels, without a decision, they start sharing moments. Breakfasts. Midnight walks. Soft touches in the hallway. Conversations that finally breathe without fear. Together they visit Ivy's childhood neighborhood. The rundown streets. The flower shop where her mother once worked. The woman who used to babysit her recognizes her instantly. "You're Rose's girl," she says. "You've got her strength." Later, Ivy and Alexander sit on the front steps of the old shop, eating pastries wrapped in brown paper. "She gave up everything," Ivy says. "For me." "She gave you the chance to become this woman," Alexander replies. "And she gave me the chance to find her." Back at the mansion, changes bloom like the roses outside. The west wing, once locked and forgotten, is opened. Restored. Turned into an art space, filled with Ivy sketches, Alexander's mother's journals, and a wall of photos, honoring the women who endured. The staff notice the change. The halls are quieter, but not cold. Lighter. Warmer. The whispers now are not about secrets but beginnings. One evening, Alexander finds Ivy sitting alone in the library, sketching again. "What are you drawing?" he asks. She turns the pad around. A rose. But blooming from a crack in the floor. "It's not perfect," she says. He sits beside her. "Neither are we. And that's the point. In a house once haunted by silence, love now echoes in the most unexpected corners. Not loud, not rushed, but real. They don't make promises. They don't say forever. They just stay. And sometimes that's the greatest love story of all." Birds sing softly in the trees as Alexander kneels beside Ivy, both of them with dirt on their hands. Between them, a small rose bush, delicate, hopeful, and full of promise. Ivy cradles it gently while Alexander presses soil around its roots. He looks at her, voice soft, steady. "Let's grow something new. Together. Not in shadows but in light." Ivy meets his gaze, her eyes shining, not with tears this time, but with quiet strength. No more secrets. Just us. They both smile, the kind that carries the weight of everything they've endured but refuses to bow to it. He places his hand over hers in the soil. "This one," he says. "We'll name her Grace. For your mother. And mine." Ivy nods, blinking back emotion. "And for us. For surviving." Weeks pass. The garden transforms. Ivy tends to it daily, turning the once overgrown plot into a sanctuary. Alexander often joins her, trading tailored suits for rolled-up sleeves and muddy boots. It becomes their ritual, a way to build something pure in a place that once held so much pain. Inside the house, Ivy's drawings now line the halls. Sketches of roses, of her mother, of Alexander, lost in thought by the window. The mansion breathes differently now. Even the staff walk lighter, unburdened by the weight of whispers. One evening, Alexander hosts a small gathering in honor of his mother's birthday. It's the first time the house has welcomed guests in years. Ivy stands beside him, no longer in the background, no longer a maid. She's introduced as the heart of this house, and no one dares to question it. Later, alone on the balcony, Ivy leans on the railing. Alexander joins her, offering a glass of wine. The stars above stretch endlessly. "I used to look at this house from the outside," Ivy says. "I used to wonder what kind of people lived inside. Well, I don't wonder anymore." He watches her. "And what do you see now?" She turns to him. "I see a man learning to be more than his name. And a girl who stopped running." They hold each other in the silence, the kind of silence that speaks of healing, not hiding. One morning, Ivy finds a letter slipped beneath her sketchpad. Not from the past, but from Alexander. "For every lie this house told you, I'll give you a truth. For every secret it buried, I'll plant a memory. This is not redemption. It's resurrection. And I want to rise with you." She clutches the note to her chest, tears of peace sliding down her cheeks. That afternoon, they visit a nearby orphanage Ivy's mother once supported anonymously. Ivy sets up an art program for the children. Alexander funds the renovation of the broken roof. Together, they build something far beyond roses. They begin restoring lives. Their love isn't loud. It doesn't flash or shout. Slow, earned, quietly defiant. And as spring fades into summer, the rose bush they planted Grace blooms with vibrant petals, brighter than any other in the garden. Not just a flower, symbol that from the deepest roots of pain, something beautiful can grow as long as it's tended together.